All right, let's jump right in. Have you ever felt like you're talking to a brick wall? Whether you're in a classroom, a meeting, or some training session, getting people actually engaged is the whole point, right? Well, today we're going to break down the game plan for turning any group from just, passive listeners into active players. And believe it or not, it all starts with just 3 simple moves. So let me just throw this out there. What if your audience did the heavy lifting for their own learning? Seriously, what if you could just flip a switch that gets them curious, gets them problem solving, and gets them truly engaged? It would make the whole thing so much more powerful for everybody involved. But before we get there, we gotta face a pretty common enemy. Let's call it the silent classroom. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. You ask a great question and you're met with crickets, just blank stares. That is the challenge we are setting out to conquer today. And this really shows the 2 sides of the coin here. On one side, you've got the classic lecture. It's passive, right? Information just flows in one direction. But on the other side, you've got the conversation. This is active. This is where students are digging in, they're discussing, problem solving, and really wrestling with the ideas. Our goal is to get from that lecture to that conversation. And that, right there, brings us to the big idea, the core strategy that makes this whole shift possible. It's called active learning. This is how we're going to win the engagement game. So what is it, really? Well, active learning is basically any approach that gets students directly involved in the learning process. And here's the key thing. Instead of just sitting there passively soaking up information, students are actively doing something with it. They're applying concepts. This isn't about busy work, it's about making the learning deeper and making it actually stick. Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, but how do we actually do it? Let's get super practical. We're going to look at 3 foundational, really game-changing plays you can start using right away. Think of these as your opening moves. First up, move number 1, think, pair, share. You might have heard of this one, and that's because it's a total classic. It's so simple, needs basically 0 prep, and it's one of the best ways to get every single person in the room thinking and talking. And here's how easy it is. Step 1, you just pose a question and give everyone a minute to think about it on their own. Step 2, they pair up with the person next to them to talk about their ideas. This is super low stakes, which is great for anyone who's a little nervous to speak up. And then finally, step 3, you ask a few pairs to share their best ideas with the whole group. Boom! In just a couple of minutes, you've gone from a silent room to one that's just buzzing with ideas. All right, let's check out our second play, case-based learning. This is where you bring the real world right into the classroom. It's all about bridging that gap between abstract ideas and messy, real-life situations. The process here is also pretty straightforward. First, you present a case. It can be a real story or one you made up, but it's got a problem at its core. Next, students get into groups to analyze it, using the very concepts you've been teaching them. And finally, they discuss what to do, proposing solutions, and thinking about what might happen. This is so powerful because it takes them from just knowing a concept to actually using it. And for our third move, we're going to level up with problem-based learning. You can think of this as the more adventurous cousin of case-based learning. With this one, the problems are bigger, they're more open-ended, and there's no single right answer. So here's how it works. You start by posing a complex, messy problem. But here's the big difference. The next step is to investigate. The students themselves have to figure out, okay, what do we know? What do we not know? And what do we need to go learn to solve this? Then they work together to solve it, and they have to be able to justify their solution. This puts them completely in the driver's seat of their own learning journey. So there you have it, your 3 opening moves. But maybe you're thinking, what else have you got? Well, let's do a quick lightning round of a few power-ups, some other awesome tools you can add to your active learning playbook. First is the minute paper. It couldn't be simpler. At the end of a class, you just ask everyone to take 60 seconds and write down the single most important thing they learned or one question they still have. It gives you a super fast pulse check on where everyone's at. Low effort, super high impact. Next up, the gallery walk. This one is awesome because it gets people out of their chairs and moving around. You post different questions or topics on the walls, like art in a gallery. Then you have small groups rotate from station to station, adding their ideas to each poster. It's a great physical way to get ideas flowing and build on each other's work. What about the Jigsaw method? This one is absolutely brilliant. You break a big topic into, say, 4 smaller pieces. Then you make expert groups, where each group masters just one piece. After that, you shuffle everyone into new Jigsaw groups, where there's one expert for each piece. In the new group, each expert teaches their part to the others. It's an incredible way to get students teaching each other, which really solidifies their own understanding. And last but not least, a true classic for a reason, debates. You give people opposing sides of an issue and challenge them to build a solid argument. This pushes them to do their research, think logically, and see an issue from all sides. It's just a fantastic structured way to sharpen those critical thinking skills. So, we've walked through the game plan, we've got the opening moves, we even have some power-ups. But the most important part of any game is to actually get in there and play. So now, it's your turn to make your first move. When you look at everything we've talked about, from the beautiful simplicity of think, pair, share, all the way to the deep dive of problem-based learning, there's really only one question left to ask. Which move will you make first to activate your audience? The key isn't to do everything all at once. It's just to start with one. So which one's it going to be?